As parents, we all know that our child needs certain things physically.
Physical needs, we all know. Psychological needs, I think we need to be reminded of now and then. Loved and accepted. And acceptance is like the fertile soil that permits the tiny seed or child to grow and become all that he or she's capable of becoming. It's important for a child to know what's right about him or her. Often our society says, you tell those children what they do wrong over and over again. And what happens is that when you do that, they become very discouraged and don't try, just like we adults do. So if what they need to do is hear what's right about them, because children build on their strengths. And so we need to, talk about those good things. We're their mirrors. We reflect back what we think they are. And if we reflect what we see that they're doing right, then they begin to internalize that I can do things, that I may be able to color well, and I may be a fast runner, or I was kind to my little brother. And it's important for them to begin to internalize those ideas, because then that helps them have a strong self-concept. And then when they go to school, they're ready to learn. They're not all tied up with a lot of negative emotional messages. Safe from abuse, obviously. The verbal is saying so many negative things to them. That's so harmful to children, to call them bad, or to call them just like their uncle who's in jail. That's a terrible message to send a child, because they begin to, if they hear it day in, day out, they begin to believe that in fact they aren't any good, and they can't do well, and they give up. So safe and secure means safe from verbal abuse, and of course safe from physical and sexual abuse. It also means safe from violent television, safe from the computer games that instill some really negative, violent images, sexual images. I hate to say it, but we really do need to monitor our children and what they're exposed to, especially the computer. That's a really good thing to have centrally located, as opposed to in a child's room, because it's just amazing some of the pornography that they can pull up.
You mentioned negative and harsh words to the children. Isn't it also the tone that you use? If I'm just talking to my son and using a harsh tone, doesn't that get to him as well?
Well, sometimes we need that tone, but of course, if they hear it all day long, they just become immune to it too. If you save your harsh voice for emergencies, like if they run out the street, or if there's a real big problem, then they listen to you.
They know you mean business.
If you're yelling all day long, then they're not going to pay attention.
Another child's needs are to belong, to identify themselves as part of a group.
Exactly.
And wouldn't the family be their first group?
Right, and so many of our parents are single parents, and what I recommend for those is that if at a family gathering, that they take a picture and put that picture by the child's bed. And why that's important is that it's so important for a young child to trust their world. And if you have a parent who has died or has left the family, and you have a single parent, obviously when they go to sleep at night, they're going to think, well, what would happen to me if something happened to mom? So they have this picture by their bed of all the people that love them and care about them. Then they know that they're safe and secure and a belonging to the family. And that's just such a warm feeling for a child. So that's one of the things I recommend to single parents, but any family. If we can look at what's right in them and not be down on one because he or she rubs us the wrong way, that's what's important. That's what helps them have that strong self-esteem, self-concept that sends them to school saying, I can do it, I can try, I can. It's not an arrogance we're trying to give them. It's just that feeling inside that they're worth something, they have value, they're worthwhile, and they can be successful. We need to give them some chores as they're growing up. instead of just doing everything for them, because children learn by doing, not just by having things done for them.
And it's never too early.
It's never too early to, and when they contribute to the family, then they have that sense of belonging as well, because they're contributors. And when things are given to us and given to us over and over again, we begin to feel a feeling of entitlement. And those children don't necessarily, it's not easy for them to make friends, because they kind of feel like the world revolves around them. So it's important for them to have chores, to delay gratification. Everything's pretty easy for them. So I think we have to work really hard to involve them in family chores as well as the fun. I like to call it the sweet with the sweat.
Yes.
It's responsibility and privileges in balancing these, because they need it. As those child's needs are met, they attain an inner psychological stability, and failure to feel those needs, accepted and valued and loved, are the forces that stimulate misbehavior.